On August 20th, 2023, I wrote, I've never been good with meeting people. The idiosyncratic nature of people means I easily get paralyzed trying to anticipate how conversations with strangers will go. I can't account for all of the branching narrative paths, so it's safer to remain a hermit. But climbing has helped. I find it easier to talk to strangers. The benefit goes both ways. Not only has climbing helped me with my reluctance to talk to strangers, but talking to strangers has helped me with climbing. I've learned so much about climbing techniques and climbing routines from strangers at the gym. So, talk to strangers. That's my number one tip for beginner climbers. Unfortunately, if you are anything like me, talking to strangers is kind of painful. And when those strangers are directly in front of you, above you, both literally and figuratively, doing this activity that demands vulnerability as you fail and fail and fail, well, talking to these strangers can be extra painful. But my first conversation with strangers at the climbing gym, though initially uncomfortable, quickly revealed itself as a necessary spark to ignite my climbing progress. Within a single year, I went from climbing V0s to climbing a V7 problem. Strangers made that possible. So in this video, I will help you talk to strangers at the climbing gym so you can accelerate your progress. If you have no problems talking to strangers, well, then this video probably isn't for you, but maybe stick around as you may learn how to recognize one of us introverts and therefore understand a bit more about our aversion to chatting with a stranger, and maybe you can approach us and help us out. Tip number 1, compliment a stranger. That was such a cool toe hook. Everyone loves receiving a compliment. The best way I've found to open up a conversation with a stranger is to compliment their climbing. Compliment a full send, compliment a single move, whatever you are impressed by, let the stranger know about it. Personally, I love a good heel or toe hook, so when I see a stranger use a toe or heel hook unexpectedly, I am going to compliment them on it. They've expanded my climbing toolbox after all. The least I could do is thank them for it. If a stranger held a door open for you, you'd say thank you. If a stranger alerted you to your dropped wallet, you'd say thank you. So if a stranger shows you something impressive on the rock wall, something that will change the way you think about climbing, say thank you. It's an easy way to start a conversation with a stranger. What are your favorite holds? What are your favorite moves? When you see a stranger use these holds or these moves, compliment them. Again, if you are like me, then one thing I fear about talking to strangers is getting trapped in a conversation I can't maintain. Imposter syndrome kicks in quick. But if you compliment a stranger on a hold or move you already love, then you're entering into a possible conversation with an earned degree of authority. You are both allowed and capable of talking about the things you love. Remember that. And know, too, that compliments don't have to be some carefully articulated seed of friendship. Just a few words to test the waters is fine. Something like, that was a smart move, or, God, you were so in control with that move. These phrases are good enough. If establishing a conversation with a stranger is fishing, then a small compliment is the bait, and the stranger, like a fish, has the right to ignore the bait. Short, quick compliments that I haven't spent time carefully articulating make it much easier for me to deal with rejection. I'm just dumping chum on the water surface. Friendship chum, I guess. Hey, maybe that's why another name for a friend is chum. You think? Nah, probably not. So, start small. Start with a compliment. Tip 2, ask a stranger for help. People have egos. People like to believe they have exceptional knowledge or skill. So once you've complimented a stranger, ask them for help. Let them show you their exceptional knowledge or skill. When I'm having trouble sending a problem, I'll sometimes find a better climber at the gym and ask that climber directly for help. I'll ask if they have any advice about a specific move. I'll ask if they'd be willing to watch me attempt a difficult move and offer some pointers. So far, every time, they've agreed. And while they haven't always been able to actually help, their willingness to help kept us talking. It kept us puzzling over the problem together. I've climbed for hours with people whose names I never learned. And that's okay. The goal is to simply get talking. Names can come later when you're more comfortable. Tip number 3, offer help. Maybe. On October 3rd, 2023, I wrote, I caught a guy across the gym having trouble with the yellow sloper double palm press problem. He wasn't considering an early heel hook. Do you want to know the secret to that problem? I asked him. He responded, terse, not making eye contact, not even slowing down. No. Offer help, but only after you've done tips 1 and 2. Think of the offer to help as a gesture of trust. Trust that must be primed with compliments and requests. There's a term in climbing called beta spraying. It's the act of spraying out unsolicited advice, usually yelled from the ground up to a climber on the wall. And legend has it, beta spraying can be lethal. Remember that bouldering routes are called problems for a reason. They are puzzles to be solved. The fun of puzzles is in the solving, so to solve a problem for someone else is to potentially steal their fun. So remember, people have egos, and this includes you, whether you want to admit it or not. So eventually, you will get excited about your own progress. You will want to help others in the way they've helped you. You will want to show off. But be careful. Give help only when it's wanted. Don't beta spray. If you've built trust with a stranger and you notice them struggling with a problem that you know the solution to, feel free to offer help, but be accepting of rejection. When I dare to offer help, I generally lead with a statement to reveal my own struggles with the problem. Something like, that one took me a long time to figure out. You are doing way better than I was. If you want any advice, hey, let me know. I'd be happy to help someone struggle a bit less than I did, but feel free to say no. The key to offering help is to validate the stranger's struggle first. Otherwise, you'll come across as an asshole. Tip number 4, rest together. Most of bouldering is not bouldering. There's a lot of resting. Take advantage of this time by chatting up a stranger about climbing topics. What projects are they working on? How long have they been climbing? And follow their responses with item number 1, compliments. You've been climbing for 3 years? Oh man, it shows. You did the left Gaston move on that V4, V5 problem really smoothly. Oh, you're projecting that red V7? Ugh, good luck. I haven't even tried it yet. It looks way out of my grade, but I'd love to see you try it and offer some help if you're willing. Resting together is beneficial because neither of you is climbing, meaning you both have reduced ego and vulnerability. You can talk in abstract terms about the problem rather than trying to solve specific moves in the middle of the send attempt. What feels the hardest about the problem? Where do you both feel you are overcomplicating things? And here is where you can ask more general questions to really seed a possible friendship. How often do you climb? Do you climb at any other gyms? Is climbing your main hobby? These moments off the wall are often the moments that bond people. Tip number 5. When leaving, say goodbye, or at least give a simple nod or a wave, and maybe toss in a have a great rest of your session. This reminds the stranger of who you are. This is important because this likely won't be the last time you see this person. If you go to the same gym often enough, you will see the same people over and over. Even a small exchange in one session is enough to allow a quick hi again at the next session. With enough hi agains, you'll find that conversations with that stranger become conversations with a climbing buddy. So, when you see a stranger you've interacted with before, give them a nod, a wave, or a how's it going? And before leaving the session, make sure to say goodbye. Tip number 6. We are all absurd. Remember the journal entry I read in this video's intro? I didn't read the entire thought. The full thought goes, but climbing has helped. I find it easier to talk to strangers. I mean, we're all climbing fake rocks on indoor walls. It's absurd. We all get it. For me, this simple understanding makes talking to strangers at the climbing gym much easier to comprehend. So what if the stranger rejects my conversation? So what if the stranger is outright antagonistic when I try to offer a compliment? While my experience is that those possibilities are very, very rare, if they do happen, just remember how absurd this whole indoor climbing thing is, and that both you and the mean stranger are part of that absurdity. try to laugh off the hostility. Go find another stranger who appreciates this strange hobby of ours. We're all just climbing fake rocks on indoor walls. Communing around that weirdness should be pretty easy, right? Let me know in the comments if you have any extra advice for talking with strangers at the climbing gym. This has been a very fruitful past year for me in terms of talking to strangers. I feel like I've learned a lot, but I have a lot more to learn. So if you have tips, please leave those in the comments below. I might weave those into a future video to elaborate upon this topic of climbing with strangers. And while you're down there, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Give this video a thumbs up. And if you wouldn't mind, stick around and watch some other videos. They're pretty good, I would like to say.